Hi there, this is Donovan White. You're listening to the business side of music.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
Joining us on the show today is Nicole De La Cruz, who is a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, actress, and TikTok content creator with over 460,000 followers and 350 million views to her credit. We're going to talk about that today. Nicole spent her childhood in Southern Florida, where she discovered her passion for music and the arts. In 2015, she moved to Los Angeles to further her artistic career. Her style of music is pop rock, similar to early Kelly Clarkson. Nicole is best known for her TikTok account at Nicole Marie DLC, in which she posts creative acting skits and her music. She's also known for her music video Moonstruck, which was released in 2021 and produced by Rain Productions in partnership with the New Atlantis Media, which has garnered over 500,000 views to date on YouTube. Currently, Nicole is working on her debut album along with a debut feature film. We should talk about that too. Her music can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and more. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. You're young.
I am. I'm young.
I won't ask your age because that's never polite, but your childhood, when we read your bio, we talk about it in Southern Florida. Were there musical influences with you growing up that really kind of stimulated that whole thing more than others?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that I'm glad that I did spend that portion of my life in Southern Florida, because over there they have a magnet middle school art school that's like audition only, and it's like really hard to get to, like in town. Like it's everyone knows what it is. And I decided to apply for their vocal department because my mom, she's a violinist, so I was always surrounded by music, and she kind of like grew me up with like violin, piano, music theory, and I kind of transitioned and I said, I think I really want to sing. So she got me a music teacher to teach me how to sing, and we auditioned for that middle school, and that really shaped a lot of my, I would say, experience around music and my music education, because we were learning like college level, like music theory, stuff like that. It was a very like serious school, even though we were grade 6 to 8th. So I would say being in Florida definitely helped that for sure.
But you were a violinist for a short period of time?
No. My mom was the violinist.
Okay.
She did teach me, the basics. Apparently I was hard to teach because, you don't want to listen to your parents sometimes.
Right.
But so she did teach me the basics of violin. I think I picked up more of the piano along the years, just because the violin is a really hard instrument. And right now I'm getting into the cello, but no, I would never have called myself a violinist.
A cellist. Sure. Very cool.
Yeah.
Who, you mentioned Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Who else musically really kind of defined that path you were going down?
So very interesting. I guess it wouldn't be music-wise, but career-wise, I was really obsessed with the show Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus. So that really shaped a lot of like my aspirations, how, they would show her going on sets for acting, but also singing. And she did have a little bit of that rock feel to her music as well. So I think I picked up a little bit of that, but obviously that's fictional. And then as I grew up and I realized I did like that pop rock sound, I realized I could have attributed it to my mom as well, because she would play like Shania Twain, which that's like a little bit of rock, a little bit of country in there and stuff like that. And I think all of that kind of shaped how I experienced music and what I wanted to create.
As you were growing up and you're listening to music, did you have it in your mind that you were going to be a singer-songwriter? And especially from the songwriting perspective, just about anybody that's got a good voice, decent voice, can be a singer. But the songwriting takes you in a whole different altitude, doesn't it?
It really does. I don't think when I was younger I realized how hard and intricate like songwriting was. I would write songs and I would try to make them as complicated as possible. It's just, that doesn't sound good. You can't really sing that. Like I would go from this like very low note to this very high note. And I was also classically trained. So I think I was also kind of putting classical music into the songwriting, which I was trying to write pop. So that's not really going to translate well. So it did take a lot of learning. And like I said, that middle school helped me with music theory. And then I took courses at Berklee Online, which helped me with songwriting in the traditional sense, the way it's supposed to be, you know, so it can appeal to consumers.
Was there any particular singer-songwriter or just songwriter that helped influence your writing style? Once again, I know you mentioned Kelly Clarkson, but there's got to be others out there too.
Yeah, I really like Demi Lovato, like her early stuff. I think now she's kind of re-releasing songs that are a little bit more rock too. But back then she was more like a mix of pop and rock. And I think that also really influenced my writing style because I would just listen to her a lot. Like I like to write songs that when I listen to songs that are similar, it makes me feel excited. And that was one of them. And I think too, what was part of the influence of both Demi Lovato and Kelly Clarkson was their vocal range. And, you know, they do a lot of belting and I like that personally for my own voice. So I think that's also why I kind of strive to like write songs like them.
When you write a song, is there a particular subject matter or topic of discussion that you like to write about?
I like to write songs that I guess like talk about issues in a deeper way, whether it's like issues with yourself or other people or just experiences or observations on life. Sometimes love songs, but honestly, not that much because I have never been in love, so I can't really speak to that as much. But yeah, so I have one song that I kind of wrote it so that you could experience it as a love song if you wanted to. That was a song Moonstruck that you mentioned. Or you could experience it as finding love within yourself, because when I wrote it, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, so I kind of did it so it would appeal to people who like love songs, but appeal to me that I was writing about something deeper. And then my newer music, too, is about dealing with anxiety and kind of like troubles and struggles in the world when you come upon them.
And outside of the love song,
yeah,
the other topics, are these from personal experiences? You said observations,
yeah.
So obviously you're seeing other people in them. But do you ever inject personal experiences into that music?
Definitely. My two latest songs, they are 100% like my own experience.
Really?
Yes. In 2022, at the end of 22, I experienced a panic attack for the first time. And I didn't really understand what it was. Because, you know, in movies, it's portrayed a certain way. So I didn't think that's what was happening to me at the time. And it happened for like the whole night, like back and forth, like on and off. Like it was just high anxiety because I was living alone for the first time. And I guess I didn't know I was going to have a problem with that, but I did. And so one of the songs I released this year called Rapunzel's Tower is all about when your whole world and foundation is like crumbling all around you and you don't really know what to do. And I start the song out with these walls filled with pretty things. I have everything I ever need, because I remember in that moment in LA in my apartment, I was like, but like, I'm okay. Like I have this apartment. Everything is fine. There should not be a reason for me to be freaking out right now. And in a way, I guess I kind of felt guilty too, that I was making a big deal out of nothing, but it was something to me.
I was going to say it. Yeah. It's not something that just goes away, you know.
Right.
In the quiet of the night.
Exactly. And so that song is 100% kind of about loss of control. And it's about, in the end of the song, it's surviving and rebuilding that foundation. And then the other song I released this year, which these are both like acoustic versions. We're waiting to release the actual album with the official versions. The other song is called Mirror Image, and it's the day after everything happened when I kind of had a loss of self, because I remember my mom was, obviously she moved away. That's part of the reason why I was freaking out. And her friend came and picked me up and took me to her house. And I was in her bathroom looking at myself in the mirror, and I just felt like I was looking at a stranger. It was the weirdest experience. I felt like, like a stranger, like I didn't know who that person was. And I've always been very independent. So to all of a sudden not feel independent and not feel like myself or any semblance of myself was pretty scary. And I just remember looking in that mirror. And then like a month or two later, when I started writing the song, I remember that moment and I was like, this needs to be like the next song that comes after Rapunzel.
Plus, you're living in Hollywood, which anybody who has experienced any time there, and I've lived in the LA area myself, it's a totally different environment than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Did that have any kind of an effect on you?
I would say maybe a little bit, because I've lived there at that point. I had lived there for 8 years and it was kind of home for me at that point. But I would say maybe a little, just because the city's so big, there's so many people, and already feeling alone and being in that big city kind of made it feel almost worse in a way, because yes, you're surrounded by people, but I only knew a few people that I would consider like close friends, like I can call like right now if I'm in an emergency.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what makes Nashville so different than LA. Well, I think it's what makes Nashville so different than so many other cities, because you come here and you make friends almost immediately and everybody's looking out for everybody else. LA and Hollywood, it's just not that way.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I've only been here, this is my third day here, and I have already made so many friends. This girl invited me to her going away party because she's also moving to LA, and all of her friends suddenly became my friends. So that's been a really cool experience. Yeah, that was really cool.
In the studio with us here today in Nashville, Tennessee is Nicole De La Cruz.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Branding. What is it really? It goes by many names: marketing, licensing, and image. When in reality, it's 7 key branding formulas that all need to harmonize perfectly. Mess up just one formula and you have compromised the whole brand build. Dead Horse Branding facilitates all 7 formulas under one roof, building, promoting, and marketing all brands at all different stages of their level. We are a marketing team's dream, and we were built to service talent, artist managers, record labels, independent artists, iconic brands, legacy estates, and startups. Rooted in music and seated across other industries like fashion, various talent, hospitality, authors, interior designers, lifestyle brands, and corporate entities. The 7 branding formulas do not discriminate. 7 branding formulas, all in one swift movement. Sick of beating that dead horse? Come to Dead Horse. Please visit us at deadhorsebranding.com or send us an email to info@deadhorsebranding.com.
As a musician, you have a dream, that vision of what success looks like for you. Though it's not only about the money, money is a part of it. Whether you've been extremely successful or just striving to maintain a regular cash flow, you need a plan. Money Concepts can help you develop a customized plan to achieve the financial stability and success you want. For over 40 years, Money Concepts has been providing holistic financial planning services to individuals, families, and business owners. As an independent firm, Money Concepts and their associates are committed to always represent the best interest of the client. It's really about independence coupled with committed benevolent interest, which means that they can represent your client, not a product supplier. It's not about selling products. It's about helping you achieve success. To learn how this can benefit you, contact John Adams at 737-867-9309. That's 737-867-9309 for more information.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio here in Nashville, Tennessee, sitting across the podcast table from us is Nicole De La Cruz, all the way from Hollywood, California, visiting us here in Music City. It's good to have you. Glad to hear you're making friends already.
Thank you.
one of the things that I mentioned in your bio and really attracted me to wanting to have you on the show is influencing and becoming an influencer, being an influencer. And obviously that's what you are, because right now you've amassed, 460,000 followers on TikTok. I want to talk about how that got started, because, in fact, I ran into someone you met yesterday and by the name of Doug, and he said, yeah, I met her, and she's got 460,000 followers, and I've got like 30. And I went, 30,000? He goes, no, 30. So first of all, how did you start? Mm-hmm. And how did you achieve that number?
Okay, yes. This is something I really like talking about.
Good.
So I'm very intentional with everything I do for my career. I think most things I do on a daily basis is for my music and my acting. So I actually started the TikTok because I wanted to build a fan base for my music, mainly for my music, but also for my acting. And I actually had, I do boxing as well. So I was in a boxing shop in, I think it was 2020 the summer of 2020. And my mom was talking to the guy about my singing and all of that. And he mentioned, oh, you should have been here 2 hours earlier. There were 2 executives from record labels, and they were talking to us about how now they're signing all these TikTok stars and people who didn't really have a background in music or singing, but they have audiences. And I was like, okay, yes, I've heard that a few times, but I think that last time it really was like a motivation for me that I have to start this. So I think about 5 months later, I decided I'm going to just post a video every day, no matter what, even if it's a stupid video or a short like talking video, because what I had to do is I had to experiment and kind of like throw spaghetti at the wall here. Because what I noticed early on, even before I started posting on TikTok, was that the algorithm was very different than Instagram and YouTube. I never really understood Instagram to begin with, but
that's okay. I still don't.
Yeah. So it's still different it was different from YouTube. And I noticed that people could grow accounts really fast without having to have already established following, or maybe like if they were on a show or something, like they didn't need that. These were just random people starting accounts. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I started with more talking videos. So I would say little snippets of my day or something that was on my mind. At the time I was working at Chipotle, so sometimes I would share stories from there or just things on my head. And then also you can like use a voiceover of someone else's voice and then like create videos to that. So I would do that as well. And then one day I said, I've always wanted to do sketches on YouTube. I used to do that when I was like 9 or 10 with friends. I would write it, I would edit it, make the music for it, put it all together. And I genuinely thought like, hey, like I'm going to get famous at 9 years old, making these really not so good skits with my friends. But I guess that idea never went away. And I said, I always wanted to do that again, but YouTube is like a higher production quality than TikTok. TikTok, most people are making it on their phone. I have a phone. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try this, because there was this one person I was following that she would use green screens too. So it didn't matter like what was behind me either, because my brother, my mom, and I were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. So 3 people were sharing a bedroom. Yeah, so I started making them in the bathroom. My mom loves to tell people that because she likes to say, it doesn't matter what space you have. And it's true, because I was making him in the bathroom because it had the best lighting at the time for me. And I would make little skits, and the first one got like 10,000 views. And I was like, oh, that's never happened before.
Did you do anything to promote that, or did you just put it on TikTok?
No, I just put it up and I said, okay, that was kind of cool, slightly exciting, because I think at that point, all the other videos had maybe 200, 400. And so I said, well, I'm going to repeat the action because that worked. And I started sharing both a mix of like fictional stories that I would write with fictional characters, and then stories about like working at Starbucks or Chipotle, because everyone knows Starbucks. So I feel like that also helped transition the type of content I was making, because people are just interested, like what happens when you work at Starbucks. So I would share stories like that. And I just kept going. It kept growing really fast. I think by the end of the year, I had like 100,000. And That was crazy. I was like, okay, this is working. I'm going to stick with this. And I also knew going into it, like my goal was to build a fan base and to build a brand. But I also knew eventually down the line, TikTok could pay me. Like I've seen other platforms too, YouTube, TikTok, like they pay content creators now. So I didn't know when that was going to happen, but that was always on my radar. I was always researching the business behind that as well. So about like 2 years ago, I was posting some music stuff, and I've always had my music in my bio. But I noticed people don't read your bio all the time, because when I posted this post about music, somebody said, "Since when do you sing?" And I was like, ooh, that's a really bad error on my part. I was like, okay. So from that point on, I made it a point to post more music, a mix of music. Sometimes I've been experimenting with trying to create a skit around a song. So maybe someone in the skit is like, hey, what's that song? Or can you turn that down? No, it's Nicole De La Cruz, Moonstruck. So like, and then I would attach the song to the video to get people to know that, hey, I also sing. It's always been there. It's in my bio.
How long are these bites on TikTok?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I would do like 30, 45 seconds because the way the algorithm works, it's really about watch time. So the longer someone watches the 100% of your video, the more it will push it out to people. So I was like, well, I don't know how to capture someone's attention for more than like 30, 40 seconds. So I'm going to stick to that, because if I make it too long, they won't watch long enough and then the video won't go anywhere. So at this point now, though, in the future, I now do probably like a minute and a half, because they started letting you post longer videos, because back then they didn't let you post like past a minute. So I've been doing a minute and a half now, because the algorithm is trying to compete with YouTube. So they're kind of trying to push like the longer form videos. So they give me more traction because I'm posting longer form videos, if that makes sense. And it's been a journey for sure.
These people that are following you on TikTok, are you able to obtain their information? Do you know your demographics, where they live, all this, just that really just kind of that minutia of information?
Right. So TikTok tells me some stuff, but not a lot. They tell me my top cities, my top countries, and the age bracket and female to male ratio. So for me, usually I have ages anywhere from 12 to 35, I would say, is the main demographic. I do have older and I do have slightly younger as well, but I would say 12 to 35 is like the main people who are watching me, with 80% of them being female, 20% of them being male. And my top cities are Los Angeles, good, because I live in Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Dallas, so apparently big in Texas, and Atlanta. Those are the 5. And then a significant following in Australia and the UK, because they're English-speaking countries. But I do have like scattered few in different countries. And I only know this because they'll comment sometimes like, oh, I'm from the Philippines, or I'm from Indonesia, which is really cool to just hear that. That's crazy. So you're saying that the way to build followers, people that are going to listen to you, is short, concise type videos. Mm-hmm. And doing something every day, every other day, every 3 days? Yeah, I would say TikTok is definitely a platform where you can do it every day, post 3 times a day, and no one's going to say, hey, you're posting too much, because not everyone sees it. And that's how I started it out. But if you're really just beginning, yeah, you can do 1 video a day. I think the key is to stay consistent, but also change. So if things aren't working after a week or 2 and it's kind of the same, then maybe change up your videos, because when I say that it's really just about watch time, it is. I can have one video get 2 million views in 24 hours, and I can have another video get 10,000 views in 3 days. And that's just because no one wanted to watch the other one. So it's really a good testament to what people like. And I think YouTube is now like following in those footsteps as well with their YouTube Shorts, because I have also been posting on there. But what I've seen on YouTube is the conversion from, because I'm still posting the acting stuff and the music stuff, the conversion of acting to music is a lot faster and higher on YouTube. And I think it's because the way that YouTube works is it pushes all your videos out at the same time, no matter even if it's 3 years old. TikTok doesn't do that. It only pushes your new videos for maybe like a week max, maybe 2 weeks, and then it's done. And I think that's why sometimes like my music videos on TikTok get lost in the shuffle. I don't know if I mentioned though, but now people are, they will comment things like, oh, I love your new song, or I love this, I love your music. So definitely I fixed that brand error from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because one of the things I read was you were having a challenge of converting fans of your comedic skits.
Right. Yes.
And getting that to transition into music fans.
Yes.
Was that difficult or was it easy?
I would say it was easy and difficult. I would say it was difficult in terms of emotionally because I thought, oh, I think I was beating myself up a little bit. I think I was like, oh, I should have like kept posting more music at the same time as like the acting skits. But honestly, I don't think I should have because that's what grew the account so fast. And I don't regret that. So that's why I say it was difficult in terms of just me coming to terms with, oh, should I have posted more back then? I think it was easy in terms of, yeah, the first month or so, there were some people that I guess they were just confused and they were like, well, why are you singing all of a sudden? They thought it came out of nowhere.
Because that's a big transition, isn't it?
Yeah. And like I said, I did have music videos in the past on my page. But the thing, too, is they didn't have a lot of views because they never got pushed out. So if only, let's say like 5,000 people saw like a video that I posted about music, but 5 million saw a video I posted about acting, there's also that discrepancy that I just can't really control, right? So I finally got that transition. What I did is I created a few videos of showing either pictures or videos of me, like when I was 7, when I was 8, in choirs, performing solo in fairs and festivals in South Florida. And I think that did really well. People were like, oh, like you look so cute, or oh, that's so cool. And then I started posting little snippets of me singing either on stage or just in my room. And then people would say, oh, I love your voice. And then I started to notice some people would still know that I didn't sing, but then some people would say, yeah, she's been singing since she was 7. So what was interesting is that I said, okay, so now I've created this like subgroup of fans that are excited to know that I sing and I do music because they're the only ones that know, so they can tell other people. So I think they would get like excited in the comments and be like, oh, I know something you don't, but not in a bad way, right? Just in a like, right. Oh, like I know her stuff more and I want to like share it. So that was really cool. And then to this day, I created a video where I said, hello, TikTok, I want to reintroduce myself. And I put skits of me, just not skits, I put clips of me singing, acting, doing film, and I just put it all together, edit it together with a voiceover. I said, you may know me as this girl who does these skits, but I also do all of this. And I pinned it to my profile because that means that every time someone clicks on my profile, that's the first video they'll see. And now that video has, I think, 500,000 views. So I would say that people know now, which is good.
It's an introduction to,
yes, exactly. Because other than pinning it, it's not like YouTube where you can put an introduction video. TikTok doesn't have that. So I just created it myself.
We're going to get a word in for a couple of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to have some more conversation with Nicole De La Cruz.
You're listening to the business side of music.
This is Mark Allen Barnett, singer, songwriter, creative coach, and mentor. Are you an artist or songwriter or a family member or friend of someone who is? Are you trying to find your way through the often confusing world of today's music business? I'm here to help. Over the past 40 years, I've written and recorded hit songs, have had more than my share of live performances, and have seen the ups and downs of the music industry and what Music City, also known as Nashville, has to offer. I'm here to share that information with you. The Mark Allen Barnett Songwriting Tours of Nashville are a one-day to multi-day private interactive workshops developed to help you discover your best approach to songwriting, performing in front of a live audience, along with the correct way to network within the music industry. Our workshops are based around what you need to know. While in Nashville, you get an insight from behind the scenes, learn about the history of Music City, separate fact from fiction, and give yourself or a loved one the time of your life. This workshop makes the perfect gift for someone you love who wants to get their foot in the door of the music business the right way. For more information, go to www.markallenbarnett.com or www.musicchoosesyou.com. Remember, you don't choose music. Music chooses you.
Are you a fan of 80s and 90s country? Then check out Throwback Country Music, a weekly nationwide show hosted by me, Britt Jones. I have exclusive interviews with legends and icons that include Grammy Award winners and Grand Ole Opry stars. You can listen to the show wherever you get your podcast or watch it on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. For more info and access to these options, visit our website at throwbackcountrymusic.com. That's throwbackcountrymusic.com.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio here in Nashville, Tennessee, sitting across the podcast table, singer, songwriter, filmmaker, actress, and TikTok content creator, Nicole De La Cruz. We're learning a little bit about influencing and having people follow you on social media accounts. I know that I never considered myself an influencer until it was actually brought up at a conference a few years ago that I spoke as somebody introduced me as, here's a podcast producer, host, and influencer. And I went, oh, wait a minute, I'm an influencer. It's kind of a neat feeling. But you're also, as we said, a singer-songwriter. You have new music coming out that I want to talk about. That you already have the acoustic versions out of Mirror Image and Rapunzel's Tower.
Yes.
But you'll be putting out full versions next year. I want to talk about that. But I want to talk about ways to earn money by sharing music from labels are using the Reach app. Now, I got to tell you right off the bat, I have no idea what the Reach app is. So you're going to have to explain that to this dummy here.
Yeah.
For your own music marketing promotion and how that can be beneficial. So if you don't mind digging into that for a little bit.
Definitely. So I discovered the Reach app. Originally, they reached out to me by email and they said, hey, we have this new app. If you want to check it out, you use music from different record labels that put campaigns up on there. You use it in your video. There's usually a set parameter, idea, something that you have to do. Usually it could be like a trend. So for example, say somebody put a hip hop dance song on there and then they put a dance video idea to it and they said, please dance this routine to this song. Okay. And you can post it on your TikTok and then based on how many views it gets, they'll pay you straight from record labels like Atlantic Records. That's the only one that I'm thinking of right now, but I've seen all of them. Oh, like Virgin Records, all of that. And so I discovered them. I actually didn't end up using them in the beginning because all of my videos were skits where I was talking and I tried to put background music, but I was like, okay, this isn't really working. I don't think this is what they want either. So I didn't do it in the beginning. Then I have somebody who helps me with brand deals and stuff like that. And she actually recommended to me again. And she said, you should go on the Reach app. So I tried again. This was probably like 6 months apart. I tried again. I opened the app and she put me on her VIP roster, but anyone can use the app of any following as well. I've told my mom, you need to get on there. You can do it and make some side hustle money. And so I tried it again and I said, well, I guess I don't have to do like comedy skits. I can try doing something else kind of outside of my niche. So I decided to get on the app. I said, I guess I don't necessarily have to try the same like comedy skit thing. So back to the idea of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what works, I said, I'm just going to do that. And some of the campaigns, they'll just tell you right then and there like what they want. So one recent one I did was for Charlie XCX's song 360. And all it was is they wanted you to lip sync a specific part of the song.
Now, when you say they, who was they?
I don't remember which label, but it would have been Charlie XCX's label, like whoever
that
manages.
Label. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll tell you on the app as well, like who's paying you or who is requesting the campaign. And so it said just lip sync in front of a mirror and do like, because the song is 360 like all around. So it was like kind of swing your camera around and make a video like that. And it'll give you example videos as well. So I did that. And that's a good example of if you get, let's say, 10,000 views, they'll pay you. Sorry, if you get 1 view, they pay you a base amount. If you get 10,000 views, they'll pay you more. If you get 50,000 more and stuff like that. Now, how is this relevant to music marketing? well, if the labels are doing this type of marketing, first of all, you probably want to consider doing it for yourself, because the way that what they're trying to do, even if, say, this one creator only gets one view or like 100 views on this video and they paid them money for it, is what they're trying to do is they're trying to make both people aware of the song, new audiences, of course, but also the TikTok algorithm. Okay, these people are using this song. These people are using the same song. And it kind of like picks up, because then it'll kind of chart differently on other users when they want to create a video. It will say, okay, well, this song's being played a lot, so maybe we should put this in the top 10 of songs of the week that people can use. So I think that's their purpose, what they're trying to do here. And also, if there's a specific trend, like a dance or something, like I said, and that's the campaign they're doing, I think that's also the intention of they want other people to copy it, right? So we're paying, let's say we're paying 50 creators to do this dance video, and we're hoping that it starts trending. So all the people in the US will start doing the dance video to the song and it goes viral. That's their intention. So when I release my music, I definitely want to leave marketing money aside to do the same thing, because I think it's smart. On TikTok, when you click on a sound, they call it the sound of your video, you click on the picture, and if it's a song and not like just the recording like here, it will have the link to the song, and it'll have every single video that was used and made with this song. And it looks a lot better to people who don't know your music, because it's like, oh, I was missing out. Like, all these people already know the song. They made videos with the song. I want to do that too. So it's like this almost like fear of missing out. I want to be a part of it kind of thing. It's that inclusion. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's jump on to the new music. We mentioned Mirror Image and Rapunzel's Tower. Now, you have acoustic versions of those out now.
Yes, I do.
But you're going to be releasing, I guess, full-length album versions next year.
Yes.
Is that going to be an album you're going to be releasing?
So at first it was going to be an album. I think I might switch it to an EP, 2 EPs, and break it up that way, because I'm noticing that the story that half of the songs is kind of like how I said, based off of that Rapunzel Mirror Image kind of like growth, coming of age kind of story. So I think I want to section it differently and have that be its own EP about that kind of coming of growth, and not just that moment, but the year following, because I spent the next year in Colorado, and that was another whole crazy story and a lot of learning there. So I definitely...
Let me ask you, why Colorado?
That is a very long answer, but I guess long story short, my uncle ended up moving with his family. My mom has been trying to get my grandparents to move out of Puerto Rico, because we're Puerto Rican, for a long time. And the only way my grandpa would go is if we all moved to the same state. He was like, well, why don't we just move to Colorado with my uncle? So that's why my mom moved away. I was going to stay in LA, but then that whole panic, like anxiety thing happened, and I said, okay, I don't think I can live here right now by myself. And then that's how I ended up in Colorado. Yeah. That's the shortest way I've told that story in the last 2 years.
Actually, not that bad.
Good, okay.
So the full versions are going to come out, and how are those songs different than the acoustic version?
They're definitely going to be the image that I had in mind for the songs. So right now, my intention of like putting out these acoustic versions was like, once again, to put new music out in front of the TikTok and the YouTube following and say, hey, like I'm still doing music, because the stuff I have from before, I think it's like 4 or 5 years old at this point. And it's more, I would say, like mainstream pop, like there's no like really rock elements to it. So I kind of wanted to be in people's mind with new music, help that conversion of music followers so they know that I'm working on it, because I've mentioned the album, the EP, but I haven't put out stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is these studio versions would be what I truly am like picturing for the song, in terms of like pop rock. I might change the melody a little bit. We'll see. It just depends. But yeah, for the most part, it'll be what I truly envision for the song, whereas these other versions were, in a way, just like little teasers, I guess.
Yeah, gotcha. If people want to find out more information on you, obviously you're on social media, but you also have a website.
Yes, I do.
And they can go there and see what dates you have coming up and new music, and it's got all kinds of cool information. Where is that?
It is NicoleDelacruz.com.
And we'll post that in the show notes so they have it. And then they can also find you on, of course, TikTok.
Yes, and Instagram and YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Good. Here's a shout out to our loyal listeners. Without all of you, we would not be one of the most listened to music industry interview podcasts, including achieving #1 status in many countries around the world, according to Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our show, please check out our Facebook page at the Business Side of Music Podcast. Please do not forget to subscribe and definitely hit the like button. While you're at it, go to our page on YouTube. See, we have one too. And click on the Business Side of Music Podcast to subscribe. You can check out our video webcast there and get to see me and our guests, such as Nicole, here in the studio. Also, special thanks to Sennheiser Microphones for supplying us with top-notch gear for our use here in the studio, including these, and I love them. They sound so good. They make me sound good. The MK4 microphones, along with the HD 300 Pro headphones. It's always appreciated to receive such good support from such a great company. Last but not least, check us out and follow us on X. Once again, we used to call it Twitter. It's now X at Biz Music Podcast. That's BIZ Music Podcast. Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.